What's up, Tweener heads? Welcome back to another video. Today we have the Jerry Maguire of tennis agents, Talon Todorovic.
Show me the money!
Now, I met Talon after I did my interview with Michael Fried from Wesleyan University, who actually played D3 at Wesleyan as well. So I got to talk to Talon about how he's Noah Rubin's agent. I had the chance to talk to Talon about his experience at Wesleyan, about being a D3 player, as well as going into the world of law, and how he's helping Noah create not only himself as a better tennis player, but as a global brand. So getting to know that overall side of what goes behind the scenes of what happens to these tennis players when it comes to negotiations and stuff like that. Make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. If you want to check us out on all our social medias, make sure to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Make sure to check out all those, as well as check out more behind the scenes articles at tweenerheadtennis.com. We have a lot of big news coming up this week. I have a big announcement coming up next Wednesday or Friday. I have to see when I can. So here we go. Enjoy the video with an interview with Talon Todorovic, Noah Rubin's agent. Welcome to another interview here with Talon Todorovic, correct?
Correct.
Awesome. Who actually reached out to me after doing the interview with Wesleyan head coach Michael Fried. And Talon also played at Wesleyan University, and fun fact, he's also Noah Rubin's agent and manager. Is that both, or is it just one?
Agent and lawyer.
Agent and lawyer. Perfect. Even better. More legal stuff to get through. But I'm sitting down with Talon, and I'm hoping to share his story. So, Talon, why don't you give us a background of how you went from Wesleyan to becoming Noah Rubin's agent? I know we talked about this a little bit before we did this interview, but I want to get the full story of how you guys got into it.
Yeah, for sure. So after graduating college, I decided that I wanted to turn to becoming a lawyer. So I went down to Washington, D.C. to American University to get my JD. During my time at American, I really fell in love with sport and law and knew that that was my passion. And I wanted to figure out a way to bring that into my life so that I could lead a very happy life in the work world, and also have peace of mind with what I was doing, for people and for individuals. So I started my legal career at Kelly Dry & Warren, which is a law firm here on Park Avenue in New York, as well as a bunch of other locations, Los Angeles, Brussels, Washington, D.C. I'm sure there are more that I'm missing right there.
Yeah.
And there, I was fortunate enough to get some great training from wonderful attorneys representing brands such as J.P. Morgan, Gucci, and Mylan Pharmaceutical. And while at Kelly Dry & Warren, they decided to hire 2 sports agents. And these sports agents represented guys like Le'Veon Bell and Matt Forte and Maurice Jones-Drew and Stephon Diggs and Tyrod Taylor.
Yes.
And I looked up to these 2 individuals and was able to learn a lot from them, and they gave me the motivation to go out there and try to find my own clients. So I was very fortunate enough to land my best friend and client right now, Jared Jeffries. And he was the one who also helped open up a lot more doors, and for me to understand, the mindset of players and how to go out and attract players. So I knew that basketball and tennis were the sports where I had the most interest, and those 2 sports also have wonderful brands that they're affiliated with. So I felt as if that would be a great space for me to enter into. And I knew that first it was going to be more successful for me to enter it as a lawyer. So I started looking for clients to represent in a legal capacity only. And one of those clients that I reached out to was Noah Rubin. I actually direct message DM'd Noah on Instagram, where I referred to the Loeb family, who I'm very thankful for. Jason Loeb was a friend of mine growing up who I played tennis with. His sister, Jenna, was an outstanding player at Wake Forest, where Noah went to school. And the youngest sister is now a professional tennis player herself, and she was outstanding, I think, one and done at University of North Carolina.
And she's, her name, Jamie Loeb, for those who are not familiar.
Yeah, she's outstanding too as well. So I referenced the Loeb family because I grew up coaching tennis with them, playing tennis with them. And they're also from Westchester County, which is where I was born and raised.
Fantastic.
So I referenced that in the direct message. Noah seemed to be a little bit intrigued. He asked me to elaborate a little bit on what my services were and what differentiates me from a traditional agent, and why did Noah need an agent and an attorney.
Yes.
So I elaborated a little bit on that, and eventually Noah agreed to meeting me for lunch. So we met for lunch, and we had a very wonderful lunch and a great discussion, and right away we had a vibe together. After a little bit of conversation with his family, I think Noah decided that he wanted me to be a part of his team as a lawyer solely, but in an unofficial manner, just someone there that he could reach out to if he did indeed need legal services. But at that point in time, I think he was ranked in the 200s and didn't really feel like he needed to have a legal team in addition to an agent. So I sat tight and obviously was there for Noah whenever I could be there for him, and reached out and tried my best to grab lunch and just catch up, because, we were establishing a real genuine friendship.
Yes.
One that I'm, going to cherish forever, now knowing where we stand. And, we would just catch up about girlfriends and travels and family members. And it was awesome. So I actually had to go out to Paris for this year's French Open for another client of mine. So I went out to Paris, and my client in this instance was not related at all in any regard to tennis. He's a businessman who happens to be located in Paris and as well as New York. And while I was out there, I figured, hey, why not reach out to Noah and see if he's around and grab some food. So I reached out to him. He was with his wonderful girlfriend, and he was very busy, but he extended his hand for me to come to one of his practices, because unfortunately I wasn't going to be able to make it to his match because I was flying back against John Isner, by the way, because I was flying back to New York because I was there for work unrelated to tennis.
Of course.
Noah appreciated, the reach out, and we tried to set something up, but at the last minute it fell through.
Okay.
So I didn't actually end up getting to see him in Paris. So I came back home and I said, hey, I'm really excited to see Noah when he gets to the U.S. Open. So we obviously were so pleased to see Noah, get a main draw entry into the U.S. Open. So I got my girlfriend and we went to go see Noah. And we're watching his match, and we're fortunate enough to sit next to his grandfather. And Noah's grandfather was so kind and was saying so many wonderful things about Noah that I obviously agreed with. And we really enjoyed watching him play Kushkushkin. It was an honor to be in the stands and hear his grandfather's outlook, who's also an outstanding tennis professional. I believe he's a teaching pro. And we had wonderful conversation, but, I didn't ask for anything. I just let him know that I'm Noah's friend, and if there's anything I could do for Noah, I'm always here and available. A couple of days after that, before he actually played in the mixed doubles with Jamie Loeb, he reached out to me and said that he wanted to know if I wanted to be his agent. And I was so pleased to get that phone call, and I let him know, I would love to be your agent, but let's please ensure that, we get the proper releases from your current agent. So it took a couple of months, I think, for that to occur, maybe a month or two for that to occur. And then Noah officially left his former agent and joined forces with me here. Down on Wall Street with Talent Agency, with me individually representing him.
That's amazing, and I love hearing that story because it not only shows how a friendship can become a business, but it also shows how no matter what, connections really do matter. In this case, you figured out a way to become Noah's agent and lawyer, and it's blossomed basically into a beautiful friendship, kind of like a Jerry Maguire type scenario.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm looking for with my agency. Is just to make sure that every player that we decide to align with, we'll be at their weddings. They'll be at my wedding. We'll be at their kids' birthday parties. They'll be at my kids' birthday parties. We're looking for a familial environment.
Of course. And now that our listeners have an idea of what you're doing now, let's go back to that Wesleyan presence that you had playing for them, playing tennis at a D3 level. Walk us through what it was like to play for a great D3 program like Wesleyan, and what was your experience like?
I had a great experience. Super thankful for everything that Wesleyan University provided for me. It was the best experience of my life. I was able not only to advance myself as a tennis player, but also advance myself off the court in the classroom, and also advance myself through my interactions with my fellow tennis team and teammates. It was so interesting to have different young men and women from different walks of life, different locations that were able to interact with me and teach me things about tennis, teach me things about life that ended up benefiting me here today at this current time, lessons that I've carried with me to this present day. The amount of effort that the whole team put into becoming such a wonderful team was outstanding too. The camaraderie, the off-the-court atmosphere, all of us, having the ability to poke fun at each other, but also to have a real brotherhood, where we're all unified under one university. It was the best experience I've ever had, and I'm almost at a loss of words of how special it was for me. But coming in as a freshman, I was, greeted with, the open arms, which was unexpected. I'm coming in and I'm essentially taking a couple kids' spots, moving them out of the starting lineup as a freshman, and everyone didn't care about that. They just cared about the type of person that I was. Was I working hard? Was I trying hard? Was I giving the extra effort? Was I showing that I was, giving the extra effort off the court, in the classroom as well as in the classroom? And that was really unbelievable for me. Everyone on the tennis team was extremely bright, had wonderful grade point averages. We're always looking to help off the court just as much as on the court. And I think that's what makes it such a unique experience. In addition to that, I needed to go to a school where there was a big rivalry. And I really cherished the Little Three rivalry. My father went to Duke University, where there was a big rivalry with North Carolina. Obviously, this isn't on the same scale, but the Little Three rivalry is very, very big. Williams, Amherst, Wesleyan, they're called the Little Three. They don't like each other, but we do like each other at the same time.
Promoting that good competition.
Yeah, exactly. On the court, it's outstanding competition. We've had some unbelievable battles. Some of my best wins have come against Amherst. Some of my worst losses have come against Williams. So it gives you an idea of how good the competition is. But also the acknowledgement from the other universities that what you're doing at Wesleyan is special was also something that was great to see. To see people come in the Wesleyan Sucks, Williams Swallows T-shirts from Amherst. I don't know if you could put that in the interview, but to see
we'll cut it out. We'll cut it out. We'll cut it out.
To see the other schools dislike us, but at the same time understand where we were coming from and understand that we were putting in the same academic effort off of the court as well as putting in the same effort on the court really meant a lot to me. And that rivalry really sealed the deal for me as to where I was going to school.
That's fantastic. And that rivalry, not many people would understand it, I guess, from my perspective at least. When you think about rivalries, especially at the D3 level, you just think everyone's at the same playing field. But in reality, when it comes to D3 tennis, and I talked about this with Michael Fried, D3 tennis can be just as good as D1, and not many people know that. And I don't know if you saw that while you were playing there, or if there was something else there.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah, when I was playing there, I certainly saw it. You see programs that you see on TV in basketball that played us in tennis. I think an example was Youngstown State. At the time in which we were, playing them in tennis, we had also seen them, appear in the NCAA tournament or the NIT tournament. I'm not really sure what it was, but it was funny to see them, Division I program on TV, and then boom, I played their number one singles player because I was number one singles for my last year in which I was there, and I was number one doubles all 3 out of the 4 years I was there. I go out there and I beat the guy 1 and 2, or it might have been 1 in love. And you're like, what? That shouldn't have happened. It's a D1 school. They're recruiting. They're giving money. You would never think that, right? And then, you go out and play. I didn't play Villanova at this time, but I played the number 2 player at Wheaton, which was a very good Division III tennis school at the time in which I was there. That player ended up transferring to Villanova and becoming the number 1 player at Villanova, and I also beat him. It was a closer match. It was a 3-set match, but to know that, the next year he was the number 1 player at Villanova, and, I won a match that I should have won, It shows you that there's not much of a difference. A school like Villanova, they win national championships in basketball, right?
Yeah.
And here I am at a D3 school beating their best tennis player on the campus.
Yeah.
So that really showed me that and since I left, they're doing way bigger things than what I was doing when I was there. Now as a team, they're going out and beating some of these schools.
Yeah, watching them is probably one of the more fun things that I've seen in a while because of when they played the Quinnipiac Invitational, they really showed their stuff against other D1 schools, and watching them play doubles and singles is just phenomenal.
It's unbelievable to see the development that Coach Fried,
Mm-hmm.
has done with the program. And then, I know it's on the women's side, but to see Udis out there beating the number one player in Division I
Yeah.
quite handily showed you that, again, there's not much of a difference between the top Division III schools and all of Division I.
Yeah.
But yeah, during my time there, it's just so great to see that we could compete with those Division I schools, and that we were really in the mix of being something special, and to me that meant a lot as well. And it's funny because when you talk about you played at a great D3 school, some people don't give you the same respect because they assume it's just like
of course.
football, and there's no way that Wesleyan could beat Alabama or Arkansas, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or Villanova in basketball. Everyone look at like you're crazy. Oh, there's 3 players on the Villanova team that are in the NBA. But as a Wesleyan D3 tennis program, we can go into those schools and certainly win matches.
Yeah, exactly. And I have to point out, I went to Xavier, and Nova's probably our biggest rival in that conference, and I just want to say go Xavier, first of all. Just to put that out there, but I totally agree with you, and I think that's something that people really need to know about when it comes to learning about the game of tennis and learning about how players can actually compete at a higher level, and that's something that people should really know. And moving on from that, I think a lot of people from your job or from your perspective, a lot of people don't or want to know some of the odd things or some of the out of place scenarios that you've been involved with now joining into the tennis world with Noah. Can you give us a story where you've encountered or something weird's happened on tour that you can share with us? Not something that Noah will listen to this and go, he wasn't supposed to say that.
Let me think. So I think the coolest thing to talk about based off of my experience representing Noah is the downtime.
Really?
It's so cool to see that, Noah and a lot of the other players are just so down to earth. After a match, we all go out and we shoot basketballs together and we play horse or a game of pickup ball, and, everyone is either kicking a soccer ball around or shooting hoops. To me, that was super special to see that off the court, everyone's just a regular person, just like everybody else, who have side interests. And are very interested in just having fun and being an athlete. And to me, that was extremely cool to see that in person and to participate in it. I'm young enough to where I was on the court with them, playing with them, having a good time with them.
You're not old yet.
Everybody. Yeah, a long way away from not being able to participate in those type of games.
There you go.
That to me was really cool and fulfilling, and it just humanized everybody and made it seem like, hey, listen, we're all amazing professional athletes, but we could all just get together and shoot some hoops and have a good time. So that was really cool to me. Other things that were really cool are just, the general negotiations that go behind the scene.
Okay.
I think that those are outstanding and fun, and you really start to respect all the brands that you reach out to, and you're just so thankful for their existence. And the level of professionality that all these brands have is really unbelievable. The responses you get and the dialogue that goes back and forth and the respect that all the parties involved in the negotiations have for each other, to me, was something that was awesome to see and made me really happy to be in this space and to really feel like this is a space that I want to obviously fulfill for the rest of my life. And, my dreams and goals when I was a young man just entering law school are all coming to reality for a reason. And it's great to see that everybody in this space is, like I said, extremely respectful and honest. And I was very, very, very pleased to see that in the tennis space, and it made me tip my cap to the game of tennis.
Thank you. And I think we were talking about this earlier on a previous phone call, how you are not trying to make Noah solely tennis branded. You're trying to, I think a lot of people should know that when it comes to tennis, you're trying to expand someone's brand, because in any sport, you're creating an identity for a player. And with that, you're reaching out, you said, to photography, to different fashion brands, to different other areas where a person could spread their, I guess, brand portfolio to. So why would you talk us through that, how you want to do that for Noah?
Yeah, for sure. So, having this legal background, I look at everything like it's a fact pattern, and I'm going to apply the fact pattern to the case law. That's just, how I was raised in law school and trained at Kelly Dry and Warren.
Okay.
So I look at Noah's life like a fact pattern. The things in his life that he really cares about and loves, I want to understand what those are, and then I want to look to brands that could understand, just like I understand, how important they are in his life, so that there can be an affiliation and a bond and an agreement and a partnership.
Yeah.
So for me, it was awesome to see that at such a young age, Noah is so interested in the arts. He's interested in watches. He's interested in photography. It was beautiful to see that it was more than just fantasy football, And I'm not saying that that's what everyone likes, but at that age, that's all I cared about. It was fantasy football, fantasy basketball, and, knocking out my law work,
Yes.
So it was so great to see how well-rounded Noah was, the travel that him and his father have gone on. That was also of great interest to him. And then style and clothing. Noah was an extremely handsome individual. So it was also good to see that he had an interest in style and fashion and looking the part. So knowing that fact pattern, I went to different brands, and I have made it a good attempt to, and with some success, to align him with some of the more popular fashion brands, as well as some of the up-and-coming fashion brands that I believe are just like Noah. They're going to be, they're just outside the top 100 now, but in a couple years, they could very well be the face of fashion, just like I believe Noah could eventually be the face of American tennis. So I align myself with those type of brands. The same goes for his photography. I think he's extremely skilled and interested in photography, so I reached out to different photography brands and companies and told them Noah's story and how I believe that there could be an alignment there. And they were so thankful to hear all this information about Noah. They were shocked almost, in essence, to hear that, Noah was interested in things outside of the game of tennis. And I think it humanizes him, and also puts, these brands in a position where they're very interested in working with Noah because of his genuine interest in the things that we're pursuing. It's not just to go get money from a brand, although money is wonderful.
Yes, of course.
About aligning ourselves with something that Noah truly believes in, so that when he represents that brand, he represents it with passion. And when you represent something passionately, the money follows.
Yes. And I think that's an idea or a concept that everyone should be following when it comes to that. And you talk about Noah so highly in how you created this relationship with him and how you guys are so close. If you could describe him in one word, what would it be?
Amazing.
That's it. Just amazing.
That's it. He's amazing.
How come? Just.
I've never met an individual at his age so eloquent, so kind, so loving, so caring for his family, and having the perspective of reality in life. He he never gets bogged down by one loss or one win. He's got the long view in the room, and for him to have that perspective at that age is something that to me is truly amazing. For me, I did not understand that until I was in my early 30s.
Wow.
And he understands that at such a young age. And again, I cannot speak to his kindness more than anything. He makes everybody feel comfortable that's around him. He never acts like he's too good for any situation. And he's genuine with every word that comes out of his mouth. So amazing is the best way to describe him.
I love it. And I think my last question for you, it's a bit of a different one. But if you were to be stuck on an airplane for 12 hours, who would you sit next to?
That's a great question.
If you could have anyone sit next to you for 12 hours, who would it be?
Wow, that's a great question. I am going to go with...
It can't be Noah.
I was about to say, can it be Noah?
No, it can't be Noah.
I am going to go with Arthur Ashe.
Really?
Yes. And the reason for that is, one, when I was a child, he autographed a book for me.
Wow.
And that book, I believe it's called The Road to Glory, still sits in my library to this day. And, everything involving Arthur, it represents class, professionalism, it also represents someone that had to overcome and struggle to be in the position that he's in. In today's society, it's so much easier for a minority to be a star tennis player. But when he was around, that was pre-Jeter, pre-Tiger, pre the mixed race babies that were making it cool to be, diverse.
Yeah.
So Arthur was going through things that I can only imagine. So the way that he handled everything that came about, how outstanding a tennis player he was, and to know that he was a humanitarian and one that truly cared about education, I think that his conversation with me would be outstanding on that flight.
Wow, that's amazing. I wouldn't have thought that, to be honest. I love that answer, and thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to talk to me. I hope we can still connect in the future. Thank you so much for talking to me and talking to the Tweener heads.
So thankful for you, and I hope that we get another opportunity to do this after Noah wins some big tournaments.
Yeah, for sure. I love it.